Do you have the feeling that you should be using more phrasal verbs in your English? Well, to be honest, you're probably right, but you've come to the right place. And if you stay with me to the end of this video and pay attention, then you will know how to use all of these phrasal verbs with get. So thank you for joining me for another video, To the Point English with me, Ben Gill. And today is the second part of a three-part series of videos on the verb to get. So I recommend you have a look at my last video, which was on the general meanings and uses of get. Today is going to be phrasal verbs with get, and the next video will be common expressions and idioms with get. So quite a definitive guide. There are many phrasal verbs with get that we're going to be looking at today. So I've decided to separate them into two categories. First, we're going to look at the more logical phrasal verbs with get. And then later in the video, we're going to look at figurative phrasal verbs with get. So phrasal verbs with a less obvious meaning. But yeah, let's start with the logical phrasal verbs with get. The first two are get in and get out. And we use these phrasal verbs to refer to entering or leaving a three-dimensional space. So for example, to get in a building or get out of a building. Now, usually we would say simply go in or go out of a building. But when we use get in or get out, it's because there is some difficulty or some problem. So if, for example, if you leave your house in the morning and you forget your keys, you leave your keys inside the house, then when you return, you need to get in the house. There's a problem. You can't just go in because you don't have the keys, so you need to get in. The same with get out. If you have a problem, if you're, to get out of prison, we often say if you're locked inside somewhere, you need to get out. But probably the most common use of get in and get out is with transport. So have a look at this very sophisticated graphic that I've prepared. You can see a car and a taxi. So these are three-dimensional vehicles, three-dimensional spaces that you get in and get out of. So you get in a taxi or get out of a taxi. Now that's important to remember for the next phrasal verbs with get that we're going to look at now. So that's get on and get off, which we use to refer to move to or from two-dimensional surfaces. So again, when we're talking about transport, another sophisticated graphic, we use get on and off for these forms of public transport. So buses, trains and planes. Now you may say, but they are also three-dimensional spaces, so why do we use get on and get off and not get in and get out? Well, yes, the vehicles are three-dimensional, but what we're thinking of is the line that they travel on, because these forms of transport, public transport, always travel up and down the same line. So a bus always takes the same route. So we're referring to traveling on the line. So when you get on a bus, you're getting on the line that it travels on. We're not referring to the physical three-dimensional space. We're talking about the surface that the bus travels on. Same with trains, metro, underground, and planes. The planes follow the same route. A taxi and a car can go anywhere, so we refer to the three-dimensional space. Okay, the next phrasal verb with get up. So a very common one. So as you can see, the definition there is to rise to a standing position. So probably you're most familiar with this as to get up in the morning. So at what time do you get up in the morning? I get up at 7 o'clock in the morning. So that's first you wake up and then you get up. But we also use it just to rise to a standing position. If you're sitting down, you get up, or if you're lying down, you get up. Okay, the next one, get down. Now in this case, get down is not really the opposite of get up in most contexts, because get down, yes, it's to lower your body, but the opposite of get up is usually sit down, lie down, or simply go to bed. But get down, it's used mostly in the imperative form. So when you say, maybe a mother to her child says, get down, it's dangerous, get down from the wall, it's dangerous. Another meaning, a little more figurative of get down, but I'll mention it now, is to dance and have fun. So to get down to some good music. So, you know the song, get down on it, get down on it. I should probably stop singing in these videos, shouldn't I? Let me know in the comments, would you like me to stop singing? I think I know the answer to that, but yeah, get down, have a good time and dance. That's more of a figurative meaning. Okay, the next phrasal verb with get, to get over. So this could be literal, so we're referring to getting over an obstacle. There's an obstacle, maybe a wall you're walking in, and you need to get over that wall. But probably more commonly it's used in the sense that to get over a difficulty or an illness. So I've just got over a bad cold, for example, or Jane is getting over her divorce. So these are problems, these are difficulties, an illness or a problem that you need to overcome, to get over. And get back, yeah, it's quite a logical phrasal verb. It's to return to a place or to a person. So to get back, the adverb back often means to return in many phrasal verbs. So it could be return to a place, to get back home. I was on holiday and I got back home at 10 o'clock on Saturday. But to get back to a person, it's like often in a telephone call or an email, you say, I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So that means I'll return your call or your email, or I'll give you the information you requested as soon as possible. So I will get back to you as soon as possible. And the last logical phrasal verb with get for today is to get away. And that simply means to escape. Again, in a literal form, you could get away from the police. Maybe the police are chasing a criminal and he gets away, he escapes. In a more general sense, we use it like to get away for the weekend. So to get away from the city, or to get away from your stressful life, to get away from the weekend, to escape the city. Okay, so those are the first set of phrasal verbs we get, the more logical ones. Let's just take a short break to rest our minds for a couple of seconds, and then we'll get back to it with figurative phrasal verbs. So that's it, that's enough of a rest. So figurative phrasal verbs. Here we have another list, very useful, very common figurative phrasal verbs with get. And the first one, it's really two, but they have the same meaning. So get on with or get along with, it means just to have a good relationship with someone. So you could say she gets on well with her boss, or she just gets on with her boss. With or without well, it's the same. And it's exactly the same to get along with somebody. So she gets along with her sister, it's the same. Get along is probably a little more American English, and get on is more British English, but they're equally good. To get rid of. So yeah, this one's a little bit complicated because the word rid is not really used in any other context in English. It's only used in this phrasal verb, really. Very rarely in other contexts. But it basically means to discard or remove something. So it's very general. So, for example, we have too many books. We need to get rid of a lot of books. So in our house we have very little space and too many books, so we need to get rid of the books. I'm not specifying if I'm selling the books, I'm not specifying if I'm giving the books away, I'm not specifying if I'm throwing the books away, I'm just getting rid of the books. They will not be in my house anymore. Okay, the next one. So to get through to. This could be to get through to somebody usually, and it's to make a connection. So, am I getting through to you? Are you understanding? Am I connecting with you? So that's when you're trying to explain something, and maybe you perceive that the person is not really paying attention or not understanding. So, am I getting through to you? Or with a telephone call, for example, it's very common. I called John 3 times this morning, but I couldn't get through to him. So I called him, but he didn't answer the phone. He didn't pick up the phone. So I couldn't make that connection. I couldn't get through to him. And get away with, to do something bad, but without any consequences. Okay? So let's think of an example. Bill got away with cheating in the exam because the teacher wasn't looking. So he did something bad, but he got away with it. There were no consequences. So you could say they robbed the bank and got away with it. The police didn't catch them. The police didn't find them. To get out of. So we looked at get out before, get out of before in a logical, literal sense. This is more figurative. To get out of doing something. So it's to avoid doing something you should do. So it's something you have to do or you should do, but you avoid doing it. So for example, I can't get out of washing the car anymore. It's so dirty. I need to do it now. I can't get out of it. Or you have to go to a wedding that you really don't want to go to, so you try to get out of the wedding. So you really don't want to do it, but you really should or you have to. Get by. So this really means just to survive. I mean, not in an extreme sense, not like you're going to die, but just to survive. You get by. And often referring to money, not always. I mean, you could say, I can't get by without my mobile phone. Some people feel that way. They just can't get by without their mobile phone. They need to have their phone. They can't survive without their mobile phone. It's often referring to money. So I earn just enough to get by. So my salary is very low. The money I earn is very low, but I have just enough to get by, to survive. And often we use get by just to answer, how are you? So you say, how are you? Well, I'm getting by. You know, nothing special. I'm surviving. You know, I'm okay. Not great, but I'm okay. I'm getting by. Okay, and the last phrasal verb with get, to get around to. So to get around to doing something, it's finally do something. I never did get around to washing the car. The car is still dirty because I didn't get around to doing it. So yeah, something you finally do. So I don't know when I'll get around to cleaning my house. It's something I need to do, but I haven't got around to doing it yet. So have a look at all the phrasal verbs you have learnt today. 17 phrasal verbs. So that's great. If you've learnt them, fantastic. Pause the video now for a few seconds or minutes just to test yourself with all of these phrasal verbs that you've learnt today. Try to remember the meanings and some examples. Think of your own examples, that will always help. Subscribe if you like this video and hit the notification bell, because I'm going to be making regular videos, at least 2 videos per week. Yeah, thanks for joining me again, and I'll see you soon for another video. Bye.